Then, of course, they proceeded to go ahead and search the vehicle. As they were searching, they obviously destroyed a couple portions of my vehicle, rendering my compartments useless now in a brand new vehicle. And then they were making comments that I was an asshole because I knew my rights. And they were just being very rude to me and the other passenger in the vehicle. And during that time, after about 15 minutes or so of several officers searching my vehicle, they realized there wasn't anything in there. And they looked surprised and shocked, and then they said there's nothing in there. They tried searching it for about 5 more minutes. They realized there was still nothing in there. And the guy who appeared to be in charge of the situation, which I believe may have been the sheriff, but I'm not positive, he came up and told us to take our white asses back to Overland Park where we belong because we're not wanted around these parts. And everyone started laughing, and I asked him if I could get his badge number and information, and he just laughed at me. He said, "You better get back in your car now." And so I did, and then I realized that there were pieces broken in my vehicle. So I asked if I could file a complaint. They said, "Well, you could try coming back Monday and filing a complaint, but I'm not sure it's going to do you any good," and just walked off at that point. So I drove off at that point, went to the party, where the police continued harassing the whole party throughout the night. They would drive by at excessive speeds with their lights blaring and their sirens blaring. And then as they got right past the party that was going on, they would immediately turn off the lights and the sirens and drive like normal individuals again. So the whole night was pretty much ruined by the police misconduct there. I mean, there was, I believe that the search was not really warranted whatsoever. However, I guess it was a drug checkpoint, so, if they wanted to search it, that's fine. But I don't believe that it's correct that they're going to harass the individuals. And they were very selective as well, because there were some people that you could tell were probably from the town or something. They had small children with them. They would let them through with absolutely no problem, but they would selectively pick the people who weren't from the area and decide to check them. So if it's not going to be a fair check.
Let me stop you for a second. I do have a few comments and a few questions, okay?
Yeah.
Okay, first question I have is, you said earlier in your comments that when you told them you were on your way to a friend's house, they said, "We know." Did they say that to you?
What's that?
When you said you were on your way to your friend, when you told them you were going to your friend's house, you said one of the officers said, "Yeah, we know."
Mm-hmm.
So was there a disturbance at the party? Was there any sort of a problem?
No, there wasn't any problems once I got there. It was just getting there. The only problems I had was with the police.
All right, well, hold on. So now that brings me to this checkpoint. Did they set this checkpoint intentionally down the street from your friend's house, or was it just happened to be it fell into that neighborhood?
Oh, it was definitely set for that specific house because they had 2 checkpoints, one from each way coming in to get to the house, and there was only one other house on that road between the 2 checkpoints.
Was that done in accordance with because there was a party that night?
I believe that's what it was for, but I couldn't get any information to confirm that that's what it was.
Let me tell you why that's really let me tell you why that's really disturbing to me. Okay, I read your complaint, and to be frank with you, when I read it, it said unprofessional conduct. I hadn't talked to you, so I could only assume maybe a cop said something offensive, and you did put that on the complaint form. But the breadth of your story that you've told me over the last few minutes tells me this is much more serious, and I'll tell you what I mean. Okay? All right. First thing, you said that the sheriff was actually may have been out there himself. If the sheriff was there, talking to you the way that you described, that's not the same as a regular patrol officer just mouthing off and being inappropriate. That's the head of the agency.
Right.
There are consequences for him if he's an elected official and in other respects. So I want to make sure, why did you think he was the sheriff?
Because everybody was looking at him as though he was the one in charge. And There were, I believe, I tried to count them, but it was kind of hard to because the vehicles were moving around. There were 15 or 16 police vehicles there, and this town was a town smaller than 100 people. So having 15 or 16 sheriff's cars, I'm assuming that's probably their entire force, or a big portion of it.
And hold on. And they had checkpoints on both sides of a single street around one party.
Yes.
Well, this is the other thing that disturbs me. That sounds to me like a serious misuse of police resources, and it also seems like harassment to me. Because if you guys were having a party and someone made a call that there was a disturbance, that's one thing. It's another thing to interfere with your legal right to go to a party and subject you to searches and all this other nonsense at a checkpoint. For what? I mean, why would they have the whole police department out there for that?
Exactly. And actually, I just went to the Bates County Sheriff's website, batescountysheriff.com. I'm not sure that it's the sheriff on the main page, but I'm assuming it is because let's see, it doesn't say whether it is or not, but it is just a single picture and says sheriff on the side of the vehicle, and that is the man who told us to take our white asses back to Overland Park where we belong.
He told. Hold on.
So
I'm on the same page. The sheriff of Bates County. Let me just tell you where you are right now, man. I'm not joking. The sheriff is going to hear about this. I guarantee you. This story is going on the front page of policeviews.com right now, as soon as I get finished. You're telling me that the man on this page, who is the sheriff of Bates County, told you to take your white asses out of town?
He told us to take our white asses back to Overland Park where we belong because we're not wanted around these parts.
And he was in full uniform. And you've identified the man that I'm looking at right now on this webpage.
Yes.
Okay. Let me just
behind in his car.
Okay, in his car with Bates County Sheriff Office with the trooper hat on.
Yep, that's him.
Okay. All right. I want to ask you more questions, but I have enough right now to make a few comments, and then I will follow up with you. Okay.
Okay.
All right. First of all, the fact that he used a derisive racial remark in this encounter raises the stakes substantially for him in terms of his exposure to various laws and penalties. And I don't know what his motivation was for telling you to take your white ass out of town. I'm African American, and I'm offended by that. Nobody should talk to anyone in that way.
And there were also a couple of black people at the party that said that they had more issues. They didn't go into detail and explain what their issues were, but I know that there were several people that had had their vehicles torn apart and had them actually break pieces in their vehicles as well. And had one of the black guys said there was some racial slurs said to him, but he didn't explain what they were. So I mean, obviously, I can't report for him whatsoever because I wasn't with him. But it sounds like they were really just not liking anyone that was coming into their area, which you would think would be the opposite because there was tourism, and their one convenience store in their gas station, little Casey's gas station, was actually getting business that night. So
hold on,
you would think they wouldn't want to run off tourism.
Can I tell you something? I believe I did this police department about 10, maybe 15 years ago, and they didn't do well in my test.
It is in rural Missouri.
Yeah, I know where it is. I had a case up there. I can't remember exactly when it was, but we did a test on these guys, and they flunked the test. So
Wow.
Here we are again. Interesting. What I want to tell you, I want to go over a few more issues with this particular complaint. One, because it's the sheriff, we have to go to the city manager, the county board. There's going to be a commission or a city chamber that we can deal with, and we're going to deal with those people because he's not a regular cop. He would be the guy you would go to if you were complaining about one of his subordinates. We also have to go to the state police or the county attorney to find out what mechanism in that state, I'm not familiar with your laws, would apply in a situation like this to a public official. He's out of control. There's a few issues with what he's doing. One, he's subverting the general mission of the police, which is public safety, to target the police department's resources for individuals that he suspects of whatever. We don't even know. Obviously, if they had a crime, they would have gotten a search warrant. But to isolate a house like that and a party and intimidate the guests who are coming to that party is un-American. And I don't like it. And he doesn't have a right to do that. The other thing I will tell you is that telling you that get your white ass out of here for a police chief to use that kind of language, he should be fired or resigned immediately.
I agree, 100%.
And this notion about, which is the most troubling to me, or one of the most troubling aspects, is that, well, hold on. I think I skipped over one thing. He called you an asshole for who knows his rights. Who called you that?
That was not the sheriff. That was one of the other guys that was watching me and the other person in the vehicle while they were conducting the search. I didn't get a badge number or a name from that guy. He wouldn't give it to me. And whenever I kept trying to look, because his badge was on, I believe, the right side of his uniform, but he had his arms crossed so that you couldn't see his badge. I don't know if that was on purpose or not, but one way or the other, I couldn't get any information off of him.
Did you ask any of them directly to give you their names or badge numbers?
Yes, I asked if I could get names and badge numbers from the people who were harassing me, and they said that I should get back in my vehicle and get out of there. And at that point, there really wasn't a lot for me to do. I knew that staying around was just going to cause more trouble, and I didn't want any of that, so I ended up just getting back in my vehicle and leaving at that point.
Well,
and that's whenever I realized that they had done, they had broken a couple pieces of my vehicle, and then I rolled down my window again and asked them, can I file a complaint with you guys? And that's when they said, well, you can try it again Monday, but good luck. So,
and they said that with wait a minute, tone is important. Did they say that with a degree of sarcasm, as if they were making a mockery out of it?
Yes.
So that they knew you wouldn't get anywhere.
Right, and they probably knew that I wasn't going to drive back there either, because it's about 45 minutes to an hour away from where I actually live. Even if I went there, I really don't think that it would honestly help me whatsoever, just because if it's people who are in charge that are causing the problems, I really don't see any department within the police or sheriff's department that's actually going to assist me, because they're going to cover the backs of their own.